The purpose of this video is to give students who are absent an opportunity to get the notes they were missing. Also, it's possible that we did not get an opportunity to finish all of Chapter 18, so I might have you do this at home to finish up, or heaven forbid, kids are out due to illness this week and miss the entire thing. Obviously, this will give them an opportunity to get caught up. All right, as this is a video, I'm going to be going a lot faster than I normally would during class. Feel free to pause the video at any time. Please remember to number your notes, and please remember they need to be in Cornell note style. Also, when we get to the whiteboard slides, please use that as an opportunity to practice with your notes, as every minute you spend memorizing the notes now is a minute you won't have to spend memorizing them later as we near the test. All right, you guys, here we go. Okay, so Chapter 18 is on waste, solid waste, municipal waste, what we do with it, what we should be doing with it, and how we can reduce it. All right, so we're going to do some abbreviation: SW, solid waste, hazardous waste, HW. Examples of solid waste: industrial purposes, mines, farms, industries. Municipal solid waste, primarily our garbage and our trash. Whenever you see the word municipal, just think urban. SMUD, SMUD, stands for Sacramento Municipal Utility District. So think of it as being an urban area. All right, problems with plastic bags. Obviously, you know a lot about that as you saw that video a couple weeks ago. Alone in the U.S., we use 100 billion of them per year. It takes about 400 to 1,000 years for them to break down. Of course, if they get into waterways, they can harm wildlife. They can block drains, causing repairs to be made. Additionally, they can kill wildlife. Moving ahead in 3, 2, and 1. All right, so municipal solid waste in developed nations, the primary method is burying it in a landfill. Undeveloped nations, which primarily means they don't have all the collection mechanisms that we do. A lot of it gets burned, incinerated, or put in uncovered landfill, which is a non-sanitary landfill. Some stats: the U.S. is the largest producer of solid waste in the world, most per person. That is not something we should be proud of. Industrial solid waste, 98.5% of all of it is from industry, which includes, all the packaging that comes in, a lot of our products. Breaks down really slowly. Some don't break down at all. Some things bioaccumulate or biomagnify. Lead, mercury, styrofoam. It's one of those things that's very, very common, but we cannot recycle that. It needs to go in the trash. And many plastics are not recyclable as well. Moving ahead in 3, 2, and 1. Problems with hazardous waste: detriment to human health, causes environmental threats. Some of it's toxic, some of it's corrosive, which basically means it'll degrade metal. Flammable, explosive, they go hand in hand, which can lead to disease. And the categories of hazardous waste are organic hazard waste, heavy metal hazard waste, hazardous waste, and radioactive. Pick 3, one from each category. So pick one from automotive, one from cleaning, one from paint products, or you can choose wood preservatives, general, and gardening. Many of you have lots of these types of products in your home. I'm moving ahead in 3, 2, and 1. All right, what are the 3 industrial solid waste examples? I want to take a look at number 2. Yeah, so we got mining industry, farming industry, and then industry itself, producing products. What are two things you learned about U.S. solid waste? Take a look at number 5. Yeah, in the United States, we produce the most of it. Most of that comes from industrial solid waste, and it breaks down very slowly or it may not break down at all. What are three things that make hazardous waste particularly dangerous? Take a look at number 6. Yeah, it can harm human health, be a threat to the environment, toxic, corrosive, flammable, explosive, which all could lead to disease. Moving ahead in 3, 2, and 1. All right, is e-waste a problem? Yes, it is a big problem. It's the fastest growing solid waste globally and in our country. So why is it producing so much waste? It's because large sales, especially in developed nations, throw away devices, use it until they quit working, throw them in the trash. Um, there's more recycling, which means we need to ship it around the world in order to recycle it. And that makes it a problem because shipping obviously requires a lot of fossil fuels. And in some cases, this waste is incinerated when it gets to its destination, which creates toxic air. Dangers: exposure to hot, toxic heavy metals, chemicals. Some cases, precious metals that are in short supply within the ground are not recycled. Obviously, you can see that as a pile of old school cell phones, which has a lot of precious metals in them. All right, solutions. We need to produce less. A lot of the focus right now is on how do we protect the environment from all the solid waste that exists, and how will we protect the environment from the solid waste that is yet to come. We really need to do is start focusing on how to reduce the amount of solid waste, and then indirectly that will benefit the environment. We need to recycle more, and we need to safely get rid of the waste that is not recycled. Moving ahead in 3, 2, and 1. All right, problems with waste management. Like I said before, there's too much focus on protecting the environment from the waste that we have and the waste that we're going to create. We need to shift our focus to producing less waste to begin with, which means decreasing packaging, increasing recyclable packaging, maybe even giving incentives to consumers to recycle. So, we're going to give you $5 off your bill each month for every 20 pounds of recycled material. Shoot, you might even get people going from door to door saying, "Hey, if you don't recycle, can I throw your recycle in my recycle bin?" But a lot of people do it already, but there are many people who don't do it because there's no benefit to them. It's just extra time, extra effort. And people are lazy, especially in the US. Just like IPM, integrated pest management, IWM, integrated waste management. Basically, strategies for managing our waste and strategies for reducing our waste. So down here, obviously, the blue, making sure that manufacturers take back their products and reuse them for recycling. There are some items that can be composted, which can be turned into rich fertilizer if you're growing things on your property. Moving ahead in 3, 2, 1. All right, 4 R's. Refuse. If there is a product that is in a package that's not recyclable, don't buy it. And don't stop there. Get in touch with that producer of that product because you like it and say, "Hey, I'm not buying your product until you start using recyclable packaging or you reduce your packaging." Same thing with ingredients. "Hey, I want you to quit using palm oil I'm down with soy oil. I'm down with the other oils, but I'm not buying your product until you quit using palm oil, or you can prove to me that the palm oil you're using is sustainable. Reduce, use less. Um, Bring your bags to the store. Try to buy lots of vegetables rather than putting each vegetable in its own bag. Put them all in one of your shopping bags and just simply unload it and then reload it. Recycle those things that you do happen to bring home. Reuse Tupperwares, lots of plastic containers that can be used as Tupperwares. And you can use those things for years and years. And then eventually, when they break or they start degrading, you can then recycle them. And then composting. I'm guilty. I don't do composting. I don't have anything other than grass and a couple shrubs on my property growing. In the future, I do plan on having a garden, and of course, we'll start composting at that time. Moving ahead in 3, 2, and 1. Is e-waste a global problem? Yes or no? If it is, why is it? Take a look back at number 8 and 9. So obviously, yes, it's a problem. And it's a problem because we sell a ton of stuff that will turn into e-waste. And a lot of it is throwaway. It's not valuable enough, and there are no incentives to cause people to recycle that instead of throwing it in the trash. What's the problem with how waste is managed? Take a look at number 12 if you're not sure. Yeah, we need to shift our focus from how do we deal with the waste and protect the environment from it to producing less waste in the first place, which will help take care of the environment on its own. Which of the 4 R's do you do in your family? Let's see. So there are lots of things. I don't eat anything with palm oil in it. I don't eat any beef products. And it really stinks because I loved pepperoni. And most pepperoni has a mix of beef and pork in it. There are some that are pork only. I reduce to a lesser extent. I still got teenagers, and they still require us to buy a lot of groceries because they eat a lot. Definitely reuse containers and definitely recycle. So I'd say I'm 3 out of the 4. Hopefully, you're at least 2 out of the 4, and maybe you can figure out a way to get it to 3 or 4 out of 4. Moving on in 3, 2, and 1. All right, some strategies for getting rid of your waste or minimizing it. Use better chemicals in the manufacturing process. But again, companies are not going to do this unless there is a value to them doing it. More people are buying their product, or maybe they're not getting penalized for polluting, but there need to be incentives. Redesign the manufacturing process, which decreases resource use and energy use. Coming up with laws cradle to cradle. So if you sell me a computer and after 10 or 15 years my computer's dead, I give my computer back to you. I don't have to worry about it. I give it back to whoever manufactured it. But that's going to take legislation. Reduce or eliminate packaging. So try to buy a lot of your products without it. And if you are buying products with it, make sure that that product is recyclable. But again, we need incentives. All right. Pros of the 4 R's. We use less matter, less stuff, which means we have to get less of it out of the ground, less habitat destruction, less energy use, less natural capital degradation, and save money. So it's a win-win. Nature's better. We feel better about how we're living and consuming, and also we're saving money as well. Moving ahead in 3, 2, and 1. All right, so things you can do for solid waste. I like this. Buy things that are reusable. Buy things that are in containers that you can use for Tupperware, or that you definitely can recycle if you don't. Try to eliminate packaging. Ask the stores that you frequent if they will start buying products and selling products that have less packaging. Cook your own food. One thing that I did, well, many things that I did over President's Week break is I made a whole bunch of beans. I make my own seasoned pinto beans for my Mexican food and my lunches. You just buy one huge bag of beans, and then I throw them into Ziplocs, and those Ziplocs go into the freezer. Also make my own tortillas, so now I don't have to buy a bag of tortillas every time, and I actually reuse the stuff that goes in the freezer. I reuse those Ziplocs. Make my own breads as well. Call companies and tell them to quit sending you junk mail, because all it ends up happening is you're tearing it up and either hopefully recycling it, which means we still have to deal with it here in Sacramento. But in many cases, junk mail goes in the trash, and we have to put it in our landfill. Moving ahead in 3, 2, and 1. All right, the European Union is killing it in terms of reducing waste. Banned e-waste from landfills and incinerators, so it has to be removed. MFTGS means manufacturers must take back products when they die, so cradle to cradle, those laws. Way to go, Finland. No non-reusable containers can be sold in their country. Granted, Finland's pretty small. They have a small population, but maybe cities in the United States or certain states in the United States can take notice of how they're doing that. Tax plastic shopping bags. We got to charge more than a dime for a bag. People don't care if they're spending an extra 30 cents when they're at the grocery store. Make those suckers $5 a piece or get rid of them altogether. Or give people money off of their groceries if they bring their own bags. Sharing, reusing things. My kids grew up wearing many of their older friends' clothing, and the stuff that we couldn't use or the kids didn't want to use, we would pass that on and donate it to Goodwill to make sure that things are getting their maximum use out of them. If you had any idea how much water goes into making clothing, you would be blown away. Moving ahead in 3, 2, and 1. All right, what can we do about reusing? Many of you guys already are using hydro flasks. Continue to do that. Hopefully you're not filling them with plastic bottled water at home. Many kids still bring paper lunch bags. Buy a fabric small bag that you can bring your lunch in, or buy one of those insulated bags and take it home and reuse it every day. Whenever I'm on the road, I bring my own coffee container. Most quick stops and gas stations will allow you to use that, so you don't have to use their cups. Unfortunately, there are some establishments that make you put it in a cup and then you pour it in your coffee container and then you throw the cup away, which seems very wasteful to me. Use Tupperware, store it in reusable containers. I try to do that a lot at home. Some of it does end up in Ziploc bags, unfortunately. My parents are super hardcore. They even wash their gallon Ziploc freezer bags and reuse them. We haven't got quite that far yet. Cloth bags at the grocery store. Lots of you guys are already doing this. Buy used furniture. Go to thrift stores whenever you can, so you can continue to use things that have life left in them. Moving ahead in 3, 2, and 1. What are 2 realistic strategies for reducing waste? Take a look back at number 15. Force industry to change, cradle to cradle laws, start charging more for garbage. If you charged people $15, $20 per bag in their garbage can, trust me, they're going to have fewer bags in their garbage can. They will be recycling more or just simply using less. There are 2 things that the European Union is doing to reduce their waste. Take a look at number 18. Banning e-waste from landfills and incineration. They have cradle-to-cradle laws. No non-reusable containers are used in Finland. Lots of cool stuff happened in Europe. What are 3 things you are already doing or will do to reduce the amount of your waste? Take a look at number 17. Hydro flask is real easy, just fill it at home out of the tap or out of your refrigerator. I've got a big pitcher because I like cold water. I've got a big pitcher in my refrigerator in my classroom. Lots of cool things you guys can do and are already doing. If you're doing a lot of these things already, because that's how you were raised or because you just really care about the environment, give yourself a pat on the back. All right, here we go. Types of recycling. Primary is when the recycled product is used to make the same product. Secondary, it's converted to other products. So the plastic is melted down and you use that plastic. It's purified, of course. You use that plastic to make something else. Couple cool words. Upcycling means your product is actually better or more usable than its recycled form. Downcycling, like for example, taking a part of a car and turning it into a plastic water bottle, that's less usable. So that's downcycling. All right, recycling steps. Got to collect it. You make new products. And then you buy and sell that recycled material stuffs. And look for the used from recycled products on its packaging. Most companies that use recycled products to make their packaging brag about it. And you should support those products. Potential in the U.S. with incentives, meaning the government at the local level, at the federal level, is offering people money to do this. 80% of municipal solid waste could be recycled. In 2014, which was the year before this book was written, just from recycled e-waste, more than 10% of all the gold mined that year. So that is a huge untapped resource. Well, it's being tapped. It's not being tapped enough. That's my point. Moving ahead in 3, 2, and 1. Problems. It's really expensive to separate all the solid waste out of the recycle bin. Back in the day, we used to have these stackable buckets. One for glass, one for plastic, one for paper, one for aluminum. Now everything just goes into one big container, and it's costly to separate that stuff out. Materials. Recovery facilities that separate recycling from garbage need a steady flow of garbage. So you need more garbage if these facilities are going to stay in business and stay busy. And I know, I just told you a minute ago, we need less garbage. So there are some problems associated with this. Source separation. It's cheaper to have the consumer sort the stuff than it is to have businesses, to have the industry do it. I would welcome, now don't get me wrong, I mean, I love throwing everything in my recycle bin and then having one of my teenagers who we still pay chores take it out to do that. But I would be willing to separate my own stuff if I knew that more people were doing it, and especially if there was an incentive to do it. I do it already, but I might as well get paid for it. Moving ahead in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, paper recycling issues. Yes. Over half of our tree harvest globally is for paper. There are other sources. Quinath and straw can be made into paper. Paper industry is the 5th largest global energy user. Lots of fresh water is also used to manufacture paper. Lots of air and water pollution come from paper manufacturing? Moving ahead in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, match them up. Take a look back at number 20. Correct answer 1 is C. 2 is A. 3 is B. 4 is D. What's one problem associated with recycling? Take a look at number 23. That's pricing. And for these facilities that separate the stuff out, if they don't have any garbage or they have too little garbage, they have people standing around getting paid to do nothing. So they need a steady stream of garbage, and it's costly. Are two things you learned about paper cycling and paper manufacturing. Take a look at number 25. Yeah, most of the trees cut down on the planet are cut down to make paper. There are other sources that we can tap into. Use a lot of energy, a lot of fresh water to make paper, and a lot of pollution would be eliminated if we didn't make as much paper. Plastics are made of resins, which come from oils and natural gas, which come from oil, petroleum, beg your pardon. So obviously, if we're getting short on oil, I think the limit is about the next 50 years. These products are going to become more expensive. Total mass, only 7% gets recycled in the US, which is really startling. A lot of different types of plastics. Makes it difficult to separate. And there are non-recyclable plastics called thermosets. Moving ahead in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, pick 2 advantages and 2 disadvantages of recycling plastic. Yeah, because a lot of energy goes into making them. You're using less energy, fewer resources, less greenhouse gas emissions. You have to get less out of the ground, and there's less processing. Reduces solid waste, less soil pollution, and you feel good about it. I feel good about recycling. Disadvantages: more money than burying in areas with lots of landfill space. So if you got a lot of space, so if you're not a urban city and you've got lots of room to spread out, lots of sprawl, maybe it's going to be too expensive versus just digging a big hole in the ground. Also takes away money for landfill use and incineration. It's inconvenient, although I feel that if you make it a part of your life and you're always thinking about doing it, it's really not that difficult. Depending on where you are and how you treat the recycling process, it might be inefficient, it might be really costly. The VOCs are volatile organic compounds, get released to the atmosphere during the recycling process. Moving ahead in 3, 2, and 1. All right, so this is actually science, garbology, tracking trash. Began in 1970 by Bill Rathje. That's University of Arizona. That's their slogan, bear down. Which is kind of weird because they're wildcats. But anyway. So he takes garbage cores at dumps A core is basically you just push a cylinder down into the ground and it pulls up everything that's in that straight line. He's realizing that many parts of garbage do not decompose, and those that do decompose very slowly. And they found that a lot of New York City garbage is going to dumps, being recycled, and some is even being incinerated. Bioplastics versus normal. So normal ones are built to last. They take a long time to break down. Use production, oil production, petroleum. So biological-based chemicals are used in bioplastics, less of an impact on the environment. Henry Ford, one of the first big auto manufacturers, supports research into plastics made from soy and hemp. Global warming, need for more bioplastics, corn, sugarcane, chicken feathers, some solid waste can be used. It's lighter, it's stronger, it's cheaper, requires less energy to produce, and less pollution is involved, primarily because you're using less energy. I'm moving ahead in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. What are 2 things you learned about plastics? Take a look back at number 26. Yeah, so they're made of petroleum, resins, and natural gas, both fossil fuels. We don't recycle a whole lot in the United States. Boo. There's so many different types of plastics, it makes it difficult to separate sometimes. And some non-recyclable plastics are now on the market. One advantage and disadvantage of recycling plastics. Take a look back at number 27. Reduces energy use. It's an advantage. Reduces solid waste. Lowers soil pollution. Some disadvantages. Sometimes it's more expensive than actually burying the garbage. Takes away money from incineration and landfill. Some volatile organic compounds are released to the atmosphere. What are 2 things you learned about garbology and or bioplastics? Take a look at number 28, 29. And I'm just going to let you stew on that, as there were many things you could have written down about those. All right. This is probably where we left off in class. Just kind of depends on how the week went. Please make sure you write down all of the given information. Please make sure you write down all of the calculations. I understand not everybody is taking the AP test, but for those of you that are taking the AP test, you really need to feel comfortable with math problems. All right. So this one deals with garbage decomposition. So I'm going to encourage you guys to write down these calculations and try them on your own before I show you the answers. I will warn you before I show you the answers. So normally, decomposed garbage is collected and burned off. That's not a good thing. A landfill collects landfill gas and burns it to generate electricity. That's pretty smart. So you get 7,400 cubic feet of gas per minute, which is equivalent to energy of 180,000 barrels of oil per year. It's a lot of savings. So this also is a given. I calculate the cubic feet of gas captured in a year. And just to make sure that I don't create a video with wrong math, because I've done that before, I haven't checked the math, I'm going to actually try to work these out as well. Yeah, that didn't work. No, it did. It did. It did. It did. It did. I'm sorry. Cool. Answers coming in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, so this is just dimensional analysis. You're taking the cubic feet and you need to get it to cubic feet per gas in a year. So if it's per minute, you could have multiplied all these numbers together to get to a year, but this is the easiest way to show you guys. So 3.89 times 10 to the 9th cubic feet of gas per year. Next one. How many cubic feet of methane or natural gas is captured per year? Good. Answers coming in 3, 2, and 1. Yeah, so you're just multiplying it by 0.5, 50%, 50%, and that's 1.94 times 10 to the 9th cubic feet of methane per year, or natural gas per year. Next question. All right, it's pretty close. Answers coming in 3, 2, and 1. All right, so you divide that by 180,000 barrels of oil per year. That was back in the second given. And you get 21,006. Actually, I got 21,608. 21,600 cubic feet gas per barrel. It's possible that it was the decimal. In any event, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for the Chapter 18 notes. We have 2 chapters left, and we are just close. All right, so hang in there. Keep doing your class notes. Keep doing your reading notes, and I will see you back in class.